Hello, fellow humans and anthropomorphic animals, and welcome to 8 Bits with Britt, a title I just made up because it kinda rhymes, where we're gonna go over some tips and tricks for Animal Crossing New Horizons. Today we'll be going over some useful information if you want to make a ton of bells, which in this game usually means catching tarantulas. Now, I know there are a lot of videos out there with a lot of tips, but I found that a lot of them either have super obvious information like pressing this button to run, or have a lot of good info but scattered over several videos instead of just compiled into one place. So hopefully this will help you in your nightly hunts to catch tarantulas and make mad bank on your island so that you can repay Tom Nook your house insurance and student loans and kidney and whatever it is that you've given him. Frickin' pyramid scheme. Bit number 1. Know how tarantula spawns work. Now, tarantulas are worth 8,000 bells each and can only be found after 7 p.m. in the Northern Hemisphere, currently in April. So you can make bank, but you have to wait till night. Once 7 p.m. rolls around, you know how it goes, you get your Nook Miles ticket, you talk to the dodos, and you hope for the best. Now, on the Nook Miles Islands, know that there will only be a maximum of 5 bugs on your island at a time. With a mob cap of 5 bugs on each island, that means you should have no more than 5 bugs on your island at any given time. That makes sense, right? But why don't you see all 5? Well, that's because of those annoying mole crickets which live underground and make the sound of a ghost living in your walls. Shout out to people who live in haunted houses. There's a max of 3 mole crickets on your island at any given time, leaving you with 2 visible bug spawns that you can see on the islands. To make sure tarantula spawns, you have to get rid of everything on the island. All the weeds, all the trees, all the flowers, so that the type of bugs on your island is limited to just bugs that spawn on the ground. The only bugs that spawn on the ground, at least in the Northern Hemisphere right now, are tarantulas, tiger beetles, and wharf roaches. While you can get rid of mole crickets by digging them up or planting weeds on them, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do that. See, mole crickets and tarantulas have the same spawn requirements. They can only spawn on grassland that isn't covered by weeds, trees, or any other hazards. So the more mole crickets you try to despawn, the fewer spaces tarantulas can show up. That's why I typically just ignore them, accept that there will only be 2 spaces on the island to spawn, and move on. The other annoying spawn in this situation, again at least for April in the Northern Hemisphere, is the presence of giant water bugs. If you're an island that has any rivers or ponds, water bugs will spawn and they will take away from your mob cap. They're a pain because the only way to despawn them is to catch them and let them go. So just keep that in mind on your ranch hunts. If you're not seeing any bugs spawning, check the water and there's a good chance those turd creatures will be there. No, seriously, the water bugs look like turds, just with 4 legs and a quivering Viking helmet. I'm not a fan. I'm calling them that from now on. They're turd bugs. Now, you can manipulate your spawn so that the water beetles and turd bugs don't show up, but that can be tough to do. So if you catch a turd bug in an area where you can adjust your camera to where you can see the whole water area, the turd won't spawn there. God, that's so fun to say. Creatures can't spawn when you can see them on screen, only off camera. You'll never see them pop out of nowhere. So if you can catch or chase bugs away, play with your camera so that as much of your water area is visible as possible. You'll prevent your turd bugs from spawning and increase your chance of getting tarantulas off screen. Number 2, know your islands. One important thing to remember is that not all islands are capable of spawning tarantulas. For instance, Money Rock Island, which is the island with the 5 rocks in the middle of a pond, doesn't spawn bugs. There's also the Mountain Island with the 3 layers of cliffs, and that doesn't spawn bugs either. Meanwhile, there are a couple of islands that only spawn water bugs, like the water beetles and darners, so they're not worth mining for. Those are only a few examples, but it's nice to know in advance that if you do show up on one of those islands, just raise it for its resources and go home. It is important to note the best islands for tarantula spawns too. Obviously, the infamous Tarantula Island, where they spawn like crazy, but is extremely rare to find. There's also Bamboo Island. Bamboo Island is pretty common and has no running water, which means water bugs can't spawn, turd bugs, increasing your likelihood of getting tarantulas. The only thing with Bamboo Island is that there aren't a ton of trees to grab resources from, so make sure to come prepared. Number 3, bring backup resources. As you may have noticed, your tools will break. Worst of all, it always seems that my tools seem to break on Bamboo Island, where it's super easy to spawn tarantulas, but with so few trees, with the exception of those 4 palm trees on the island, it's pretty tough to construct a new axe or shovel since you need wood and hardwood for that. So go into your island adventures with at least a stack of 30 tree branches, at least 1 stone pebble, about 5 iron ore, and 5 each of wood, hardwood, and softwood, just in case you find yourself on an island where you can't mine for those resources. You can always bring backup tools too. Just do whatever works for you. Bit number 4, tarantula traps. When you are hunting tarantulas, yes, you can totally creep up on them with your net at the ready as they stand on their hind legs hissing at you. Oh my god, this is terrifying. Who created this hell beast anyway? Oh, it was those guys. Great. What you can do instead is set traps, and it's totally faster to set a trap. There are many ways to do this, but I'll typically do this by digging a 4x4 L shape. When tarantulas chase you, they mostly chase you in a straight line and aren't great at quick turns, so these dig traps can help them get stuck running around in circles trying to hunt you down to sacrifice you to their spider god. It makes catching them a lot faster than the creep up method and can be super helpful if you're in a situation where 2 tarantulas have spawned at once, because then even if you creep up on one of them in that situation, the other will probably catch you and knock you out. So the trap method can help prevent from getting double teamed by a couple of hairy spider nightmares. Also, tarantulas. Number 5, use Flick. One of my favorite sentient creatures that comes to the island is Flick, the bug-obsessed emo lizard guy who writes poetry and makes models of bugs. I mean, gosh, what a dreamboat. So handsome. When Flick comes to your island, which unfortunately is completely random as far as I know, he will buy bugs from you for 150% of the value that you would typically sell for at Nook's Cranny. That's 12,000 bells for a single tarantula, guys. For starters, if you need money fast, you can totally sell them to Nook's Cranny, no problem. Just don't use that overnight bin since they take 20% of your item's value, and with such high price items, you don't want to give that up. But if you have bells to spare and can wait for Flick, keep your bugs in your inventory, inside your house, or even place somewhere on your island until Flick arrives so that you can sell your bugs for mad bank and get the heartwarming poems of Flick's inner monologue with it. So check your island in the morning, and if Flick is there, you will get tons of money and also probably his live journal entries from 2004. One of the nice things about this game, besides Flick's amazing poetry, is you can load nighttime Nook Island spawns during the day. So basically, you can arrive at an island at night, put your switch to sleep, turn it on the next day, and still hunt for tarantulas during the morning or the daytime or whenever it is you show up. Even though tarantulas are supposed to be nighttime spawns only. I think the way this works is that everything that is supposed to be on an island at any given time is loaded in as soon as you arrive, so as long as you don't save and quit, you'll still be there the next morning to catch all the night bugs you want. This can be especially useful when it's getting late and I want to check one more island but just don't have the energy to start raising the place for resources and then running around spawning tarantulas, and it's my sleepy time strategy. Hey, raised areas. Some islands have raised areas with waterfalls or just small cliffs where items can spawn. These can be a huge pain in the ass for hunting tarantulas, especially since these small areas don't have a ton of room for you to run around and catch things. It's best to take these areas out of the picture completely, and there are a few ways you can do that. One, you can drop all your excess items up there. Although I do believe tiger beetles may still spawn even if you drop things up there, but tarantulas definitely won't. You can also plant weeds up there, which will prevent both tarantulas and ground beetles from spawning there, although again, tiger beetles will still show up. Finally, you can dig up the whole top area so it's full of holes, which is a better strategy for areas that don't have water, since in the waterfall places, you may still need to get up there to get rid of the turd monsters. Water bug turds. Water turds. Turds in the water. Turd creatures, oh god. And for the 8th Bit with Britt, I'm going to close off with a couple minor tips. First of all, learn to love that rain. You definitely have an increased chance of tarantula spawns in the rain because one of your main ground bugs, the tiger beetle, won't spawn when it rains, which therefore increases the chance of tarantulas showing up instead. I've also heard a rumor that it's possible to despawn wharf roaches on the rocks by building fences there, but I haven't gotten to test that out yet myself. What I can say for sure is that dropping your excess items there won't despawn them, but if building fences keeps them from showing up, then that may be something else to add to your inventory before you go on your Nook Miles adventures. And that's it. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video and found anything here useful, please throw me a like or a subscribe or a comment. And if you hated this video, don't say anything because I don't want to hear from you. I mean, what am I, a masochist who makes videos on the internet? Pfft. Anyhow, happy ranch hunting, folks. Tom, do you want my turd bug?